Hello, church family. It's Wednesday, and it's time for the Wednesday Minister Moment. I like Moses. You know, the guy in Exodus in the Old Testament. He just seems real to me. What I mean is, well, I guess when you look at his story and you read it, you may not see that right at first, but he just seems like a real person. Now, I know he grew up as a rich person in an Egyptian family, even though he was an Israelite. And he went to good schools. He went to good Egyptian schools. And that was probably awkward for him, or might have been awkward for him, because he was a Jewish boy. Moses had a quick temper at times, and it got him into trouble. There was a time when he ended up killing an Egyptian man. There was a time when he broke all of the 10 Commandments at once, when he got angry on the mountain, and he was angry with some of the people that he was leading, and he threw the stone tablets down and shattered them. He was angry one time when he hit a rock with his staff, when God had told him to do something else, but he was frustrated about something, and so he just hit the rock, and he kept hitting it until he got what he wanted. But there were consequences for Moses through all of that. He was chased out of Egypt. The Pharaoh wanted to kill him because he had killed an Egyptian man. And Moses didn't get to go into the promised land with the children of Israel because of him losing his temper. I look at Moses and I see someone who had insecurities. Not just that he lost his temper, but there were other issues that Moses dealt with. When he was first challenged by God, or asked by God to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, Moses made excuses. He didn't want to go. He talked to God saying that he wasn't a good speaker. He didn't like to speak in front of people. And so he came up with all of these different excuses, and he finally just said, please send somebody else. Moses had times where he took on too much responsibility, and as a result, he overextended himself. There were times that he felt like a failure, times when he wasn't sure, times when he was afraid, times when he was just tired and frustrated and even confused, and yet God chose him to lead his nation, his people, out of slavery to freedom. And I think God chose him because he saw something in Moses. I wonder if he sees something in you and in me. It's amazing when you look at Moses' relationship with God, how it changes through time. I mean, at first it seems as though it's almost non-existent when you see the early story of his life, because there's not much said about his relationship with God. But as time goes on, you also realize that that relationship begins to change. At first, he's a bit confused and maybe fearful of God. There comes a time when Moses isn't as reluctant anymore, but he begins to cry out to God when he has need, asking God for help. Eventually, it gets to a point where Moses, when he speaks to God, there are times that he disagrees or even argues with God, and God listens to what Moses has to say. And then we get to a point in Exodus chapter 33, verse 11, that says, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as a man speaks to his friend. That's a dramatic change in relationship. And that's a relationship that, I don't know about you, but I would like to have. When I look at Moses, I see his reluctance, I see his insecurities, I see his temper, I see his confusion, I see his frustrations, and I think those are things that I deal with. I don't know about you, but those are things that I deal with too. And when I see that, that's what helps me to see him or think of him as he's just a real guy. He has the same frustrations and struggles that you and I have. And even with all of that, he had such a relationship with God that the way it describes it is he spoke to God face to face as a man would speak to his friend. You know, God chose Moses to do amazing things because he saw something in Moses. And because God could not just use Moses, but work with Moses, because Moses chose to walk with God. What would it be like if we choose to walk with God? To just walk with him in these times of uncertainty. Could it be that God also sees something special in you that he can work with? Could it be that your relationship with God right now can get to a point where you speak with him as a man would to his friend? I mean, still honor him, but speak to him in such an intimate way that the relationship continues to grow and grow beyond whatever you thought it could. I think these things might be possible if we'll just answer his call and walk with him the way Moses did. I hope this is encouraging to you, and I hope that you have a great day today.